What's going on, folks? I'm AutoMattock. V-Trigger 2 for Zeku. Is it good? Is it bad? Are we gonna go on Twitter and type out all the negative things we can possibly conceive? So, we're gonna talk about like what's actually good about it and why you might consider using it in some matchups. It's day one for me, so I'm still sorting it out, but I'm seeing some things that are redeemable. But yes, I think V-Trigger 1 has a better overall is better in most matchups, but let's talk about it. So, according to my calculations, this is a 6-frame startup. And look at the range. It has a good mid-range. It covers quite a lot of space. So something like Rashid, if he's doing crouching hard punch, where I have this, you can whiff punish it. Look at that. Now that generally seems easier to do in this game, but this has a lot of range and it is something worth considering. You have this non-directional method of whiff punishing. 6 frames having that much range, I think it's really good for using in that method. It's also something you can use as an anti-air. It does have upper body invincibility. I will demonstrate it against Rashid. Jumping hard punch. You gotta find the right angle sometimes. There we go, that's better. And since it is 6 frames, that means it's 1 frame better than hard kick bond, which can potentially get you into some trouble if you do it too late. But you gotta make sure the angles are good, otherwise that's gonna happen to you. Well then, so there's that. Another point that I should make is that the hard kick bond, if you anti-air with this, it's hard to capitalize on their back recovery. So even if I do it on the ground, if I back recover and they dash, they're just too far away for me to do anything. And this leads into the next advantage for this particular V-Trigger, is that when you use it, you have a ton of frame advantage. You can even switch sides. You have a ton of frame advantage and you go into young-zeku. So now you can cover that back recovery and do much more damage. And not to mention, you can still do hard kick bond. You can still do hard kick bond and then cancel into that V-Trigger. Right? Almost there. And we switch sides. Now he's in the corner. Now I have a ton of advantage. And I believe if you dash up and do Show, it'll cover both knockdowns. But there's going to be more to come. This might actually be one of the longest knockdowns he has in terms of the amount of time the character is on the ground. So there is going to be some room for creativity here, I think. It seems like the front, if you stay in front of them, you'll be plus 37. If you go behind them, you'll be 1 more frame advantageous at plus 38. So there'll be things to do off of that as well. And which is another thing I want to bring up is with some of these knockdowns with Old Zeku, you do like a Koku. This knockdown is really bad. It's not very good at all. But if you like Koku and then cancel it into his V-Trigger 2, now you can cross the sides, you can switch sides, and you can have that knockdown that'll not only give you something to do on the normal recovery, it'll deal with the back recovery as well. So for example, if I have this knockdown with if I actually hit this knockdown here, normally I wouldn't be able to deal with their back recovery, but now I get to do that and add on a little bit more damage. And another small point I should add, so you can't use it as a reversal. You cannot use it as a reversal. So if you're getting off the ground, this will get stuffed by anything. Even in block strings, you don't want to use it as if it were EX bond, as if it were a DP. That's not how you can use it. And the other thing is that, unlike the V-Trigger 1, it is a singular thing. Now this is kind of whack, but it has a slight benefit to it as well. So let's say, for example, you use V-Trigger 1. Ooh, I can switch now, can't I? Street Fighter Arcade Edition. If I'm using V-Trigger 1, if I activate it, while it's draining and I get hit, I'm not contributing towards my V-Trigger bar. Any damage that I take is wasted in terms of building back my V-Trigger. Which, I mean, in some cases you want to use the V-Trigger immediately, V-Trigger 1 that is. But with V-Trigger 2, you're automatically committed to just using it. So you're gonna, any damage you take after that, if you do take damage, will build back V-Trigger 2. So V-Trigger 2 is, you're more likely to see 2 of those per round. So we'll see how it goes. a couple characters come to mind which I would specifically try it out. One of them being Rashid, Cammy for the dive kicks, anti-airing the dive kicks, and Zangief. The jumping medium kick from Zangief can be pretty challenging to anti-air, especially as young-zeku. I do think V-Trigger 2 will aid young-zeku in the anti-airing department, because Light Punch Horizontal is great if it hits, but it's hard to find the angle, it's pretty slow, and his other anti-airs are pretty whatever. And if you get good enough, the the command grab and the command grab, those are pretty good anti-airs, but they require some anticipation. They require you to jump and then immediately do a directional input, whereas the V-Trigger 2, you just activate it and you have an anti-air. So I think it'll help out a lot with young-zeku's neutral, that kind of thing. But also, of course, it will take away from his neutral, because the roundhouse, the crouching roundhouse, you won't be able to activate it like you can with V-Trigger 1. That is a big deal, I think, especially in the knockdowns. But I think that's about it. That about wraps it up. You know, we'll give it a shot. I'll stream it. I'll be doing some soccer as well. So that's it for now. I hope you learned something. I'm AutoMattock.